I still remember the way the words cut through the air, as if someone had slammed a door right in front of my soul. When I asked what day the wedding would be, my sister answered, "It was 17 days ago." Before I could say anything, she added, "I didn't want you there, you're just a cleaner." I walked away with my head held high. 3 weeks later, she got a surprise. "My name is Luna." And yes, that entire sentence came out of the mouth of the girl I grew up sharing toys, secrets, and slices of cake with. It is strange how life sometimes pushes us into corners where we finally see who stands with us and who quietly enjoys pushing us down. That day, while she looked at me with that cold smirk, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not revenge, something deeper, a quiet certainty that life has a strange way of rearranging pieces, right when people think they've won. I want you to listen closely, because what happened after that moment wasn't a tale of shouting or revenge served on a silver tray. No, it was a story built by dignity, patience, and the kind of strength you only discover when someone tries to humiliate you in the worst possible way. And believe me, when a person walks away with their head held high, the world notices, even those who pretend not to. In the coming moments, I will tell you what happened in those 3 weeks, the silence, the whispers, the truths that rose to the surface, and the surprise my sister never imagined. You'll see how a single sentence, "You're just a cleaner," can end up revealing much more about the speaker than the one being spoken to. If stories like mine touch your heart, help this channel grow. Subscribe and leave a comment telling me, have you ever been underestimated by someone close to you? I grew up hearing that families should walk side by side, but the older I became, the more I understood that some relatives walk a little ahead only to look down on you. My sister, Helena, had always been like that. Ever since we were young, she enjoyed reminding me that she was the first, even though she was only older by 11 months. But that day, the day she told me her wedding had already happened 17 days earlier, something in her tone felt sharper, almost rehearsed. I still hear her voice. "It was 17 days ago, and I didn't want you there. You're just a cleaner." She said it while adjusting the sleeve of her new blouse, as if her biggest worry was a loose thread. I stood there, holding the small gift I had bought her, a simple porcelain angel. I had chosen it because Helena used to collect them when we were children. I thought it would make her smile. Instead, she barely looked at it. I answered softly, "I see. I hope it was a beautiful day." She shrugged. It was perfect. Only the right people were invited. Those words could have broken me years ago, but life has a way of teaching US resilience through small battles. Cleaning houses had never made me feel less worthy. In fact, it had saved me when our father got ill and we needed extra income. But Helena saw only the uniform, not the person wearing it. When I walked away that afternoon, I felt a weight settle in my chest. Not sadness, a quiet disappointment, the kind that makes you breathe deeper. I went home, made myself a cup of chamomile tea, and sat at the table thinking about how easily cruelty slips from the tongues of those who believe themselves important. In the days that followed, I returned to my routine. I cleaned the homes of families who treated me with more kindness than my own sister. Some clients even asked how I was, offering warm words that felt like little patches for my wounded heart. 3 weeks passed, slow and steady. Something unusual began happening, something I didn't speak about to anyone. It was small at first, like a soft breeze before a strong rain. But little by little, everything around me started shifting, quietly, gently, until the day arrived when Helena discovered something she never expected. Those 3 weeks felt like a long walk through familiar roads, each step bringing me closer to something I couldn't yet name. Life continued in its quiet rhythm. I woke up, prepared my simple breakfast, tied my hair back, and headed out with my cleaning kit. Nothing glamorous, nothing extraordinary, but everything honest. And honesty has a way of shining through even the darkest corners. One of the houses I cleaned belonged to an elderly widow named Dona Marissa. She had soft eyes, the kind that seem to understand life in ways younger people rarely do. When I arrived one morning, she looked at me and said, "Luna, My dear, you look thoughtful. Something stirring in that heart of yours. I smiled faintly. Just family matters, Dona Marissa. Nothing new. She chuckled. Family. They give us hair to pull and wrinkles to iron, but they also teach us who we truly are. Her words stayed with me. I kept working, polishing silverware, and dusting bookshelves, yet my mind returned to that afternoon with Helena. I wondered why the memory still stung. Maybe because I truly believed that one day she would see me, not the uniform, not the job, not the income, but me. That same week, something unexpected happened. In the middle of my shift at a different house, the owner, Mr. Augusto, called me into his office. My heart trembled for a moment, afraid I had done something wrong. But when I stepped inside, he gestured toward a chair. "Luna," he said gently, "I've been watching your dedication. You treat my home as if it were your own. Tell me, have you ever considered managing a team instead of working alone?" I blinked. Me? Manage? He nodded. "You have something rare. Care, discipline, and respect. My company is opening a new division that needs someone with your qualities." I felt the room tilt slightly. His words seemed too generous, almost unbelievable. Yet the sincerity in his tone reassured me. I don't know what to say," I murmured. "Say you'll think about it," he replied with a warm smile. I promised I would. And as I left his office, a quiet warmth settled inside my chest. It wasn't pride or excitement. It was the feeling that life was gently lifting me by the hand, guiding me somewhere I had never imagined. Little did I know this unexpected turn would be the very beginning of the surprise Helena would soon face. The morning after my conversation with Mr. Augusto, I woke up earlier than usual, my thoughts running in calm circles. I brewed myself a cup of tea and sat by the window, watching the sun slowly brighten the sky. There is something comforting about those first moments of the day. They remind you that life always gives you another chance to breathe, to think, to decide. I hadn't told anyone about the offer, not because I doubted it, but because it felt like a fragile flower still opening its petals. I wanted to protect it. I wanted to understand it. Managing a team, being responsible for others, stepping into a position with more authority. It was a world I had never considered for myself. My life had been built on steady hands, honest work, and a quiet routine. But there was something inside me whispering that perhaps I was ready for more. That same day, while cleaning the hallway of another client's home, my phone rang. It was my mother. She rarely called unless she needed something, so I hesitated before answering. "Luna," she said, her tone rushed. "Your sister wants the family to come over this weekend. She has something to show everyone." I paused for a moment. Did she invite me? Or is this another event she prefers I stay away from? There was a small silence. She said it would be better if you didn't come, but I thought you should know anyway. I thanked her, ended the call, and returned to my work. A familiar ache rose in my chest, but it was softer now, less powerful. Somewhere inside me, something had changed. I no longer felt the need to chase their approval or fight for a chair at a table where I wasn't welcome. Later that afternoon, as I wiped down a kitchen counter, another thought came to me. Helena was preparing something big. That tone my mother used, that nervous energy, it meant my sister was up to her old ways. Showing off, displaying something shiny, reminding everyone how perfect her life was. But this time, I wasn't the same Luna she once stepped on. When I finished my work, I walked home with a calm heart. And as I stepped inside my small but cozy living room, I made a decision. I would accept Mr. Augusto's offer. I didn't know it then, but that single decision would turn the tide and lead directly to the moment that my sister, so proud, so sure of herself, would receive the surprise that would shake her world. The following days unfolded like a gentle wave, steady and reassuring. Once I accepted the position at Mr. Augusto's company, my routine began to change. I was trained patiently, introduced to the team, and guided through the responsibilities I would soon take on. It wasn't easy, far from it, But for the first time in a long time, I felt myself growing into something new, something sturdier. I walked into each training session with my shoulders a little straighter, carrying the memory of Helena's words behind me like a shadow I no longer feared. And with each passing day, that shadow faded. One afternoon, after a long meeting, I found myself walking home with a small smile, the kind that appears without permission, simply because the heart feels lighter. As I reached my street, I noticed Mrs. Alzira, my elderly neighbor, standing at her gate. "Luna, dear," she called, waving me over. "I heard you've been busy. Your eyes look brighter." I chuckled softly. "I've started something new, that's all." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Sometimes all a woman needs is to lift her own chin. The rest of the world lifts with her." Her words warmed me. Older people have a way of saying the truth plainly, as if polishing it over the years makes it shine. That weekend, the very one my mother mentioned, arrived quietly. I spent most of the day organizing documents for the new position and preparing my small home for the week ahead. Every now and then, I caught myself wondering what Helena was planning to show off. Perhaps a new car, new jewelry, maybe some grand announcement to dazzle the family. It used to bother me, but this time it didn't. Later that evening, while folding laundry, my phone buzzed once again. It was a message from an old friend, Clara, whom I hadn't spoken to in months. "Luna, I saw something online. Is this you?" Attached was a link. I hesitated, then clicked. My heart stopped. It was an announcement from Mr. Augusto's company, a formal introduction welcoming me as the new team manager of the Domestic Services Division. A photo of me, smiling shyly, stood beside the text. My eyes filled with tears, not from pride, but from disbelief. After years of being told I was just a cleaner, suddenly the world saw me differently. And as I stared at that announcement, another thought arrived, clear and sharp. Helena was going to see this, and whatever she had planned for her weekend gathering suddenly wouldn't be the main attraction anymore. When I woke the next morning, the announcement had already begun spreading. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years sent warm messages, clients congratulated me, and even neighbors waved at me with extra enthusiasm as I walked past. It felt strange, pleasant but strange, to receive so much attention for something that, deep down, simply felt like the natural result of years of quiet work. By midday, I received a message I didn't expect. "Luna, can we talk?" It was my mother. I hesitated for a long moment before replying, "I'm at home." She arrived less than an hour later, stepping into my living room with an expression I couldn't immediately read. She sat down slowly, her purse neatly resting on her lap. "Your sister is disturbed," she said, clearing her throat. "She saw the company announcement. She thought you were still going from house to house cleaning. She didn't expect this." I folded my hands calmly. "And why does it disturb her?" My mother sighed deeply, as if the truth weighed too much. "Helena brought the whole family together yesterday to show off her new apartment. She said she had everything under control. But when that announcement appeared online, people started talking more about you than about her." For a moment, silence stretched between us. I could almost picture the scene. Helena standing proudly in the center of a decorated room, only to be overshadowed by something she never imagined. My mother continued, "Your aunt asked her why she hadn't invited you. Your uncle said you should have been celebrated." Helena left the room crying. She told everyone you embarrassed her. I felt a small ache, but not the old ache. A different one, a tired one. "I didn't embarrass anyone," I said softly. "I simply lived my life." My mother lowered her gaze. "Luna, your sister wants you to come over this afternoon. She wants to speak with you." I breathed slowly. Years ago, I would have run to solve things, eager for peace. But now, I no longer carried that desperation. "What exactly does she want?" I asked. She said she needs to clear the air before people say more things. Ah, there it was. Not an apology, a fear of losing face. Still, something inside me whispered that perhaps it was time to go, not for her, but for myself, to show her, calmly and firmly, who I had become. I nodded. Tell her I'll be there. I arrived at my sister Helena's apartment in the afternoon, carrying a small bouquet of wildflowers. Nothing extravagant, just something gentle. I stepped into the foyer and waited in her living room, the walls freshly painted in tones of ivory. The space smelled like new beginnings and nervous breath. Helena emerged a few moments later. She wore a simple dress in soft pastel, her hair pulled back tightly. Her face held an expression I had past seen only in movies, a mixture of pride and fear. She moved toward the couch and invited me to sit. "Luna," she began, her voice unsteady. "Thank you for coming." I nodded, placing the bouquet on a small side table. "You asked to talk." "Yes," she said, clearing her throat. "I didn't expect your announcement to reach everyone so quickly." She paused. "I always thought I was ahead, but I miscalculated." I watched her carefully. This was not the moment for anger. It was not the moment for victory. It was the moment for truth. "I apologize," she continued. "Not because you embarrass me. I apologize because I made you feel small. Because I told you you weren't worthy when that day went by, and I didn't even bring you." Her words landed softly in the room, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability in her eyes instead of defiance. "Thank you," I said quietly. "That means more than you know." She reached out and touched my hand. "I was scared," she admitted. "Scared that while I was trying to keep my life perfect, I ignored you. I ignored what you accomplished. I ignored how proud I could have been." A small smile curved my lips. "You don't have to be proud of me, Helena. Just respect me. Just see me." We sat there for a while, in the quiet of the living room, petals of the wildflowers trembling just a little near the light. I thought of all the afternoons I cleaned homes, and all the moments I felt unseen. But I also thought of how every floor I polished, every shelf I dusted, built something different, not just a career, but a core of self-respect. Helena's eyes found mine. "Luna," she said, "I'd like you to help with the company event I'm organizing. I want you by my side." I felt a gentle warmth. "I'll help," I said, "but let's make it equal. Together." She nodded. Together. And in that moment, something shifted between us. Not a contest, not a rivalry, but a new chapter. We didn't erase the past. We acknowledged it. We took a breath and we moved forward. Little did either of us know how beautiful that event would become. But I knew one thing. I no longer walked with my head bowed. I walked with dignity. And Helena, I hoped, would walk with me. The day of Helena's company event arrived with the soft glow of a mild afternoon. The venue was elegant, but not excessive. A tasteful hall decorated with subtle golden details, fresh flowers, and warm lighting. I helped with the final touches, placing centerpieces and smoothing the table linens. This time, I wasn't there as an outsider, nor as just a cleaner. I was there as Luna, a woman who had earned her place through quiet effort and resilience. Helena approached, carrying a folder of papers. She looked calmer than I had seen her in a long time. "Everything looks beautiful," she said. "It does," I replied with a small smile. Guests began to arrive, colleagues, family members, friends. Some greeted me with surprise, others with genuine joy. My aunt hugged me tightly and whispered, "You deserved this recognition long ago, dear." I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. When the event officially began, Helena took the stage. She looked around the room, steadied herself, and spoke with a voice that carried honesty instead of pride. "I want to thank everyone for coming," she began. "But before we celebrate the company's achievements, there's someone I want to acknowledge. Someone who taught me, without saying a word, what dignity looks like." I felt a soft chill run through me. "Luna," she said, turning her eyes toward me. "My sister, thank you. For your strength, your patience, and your kindness. I didn't value you as I should have. But today, I want everyone here to know the truth. I am proud of you." A gentle murmur spread across the room as people clapped. I felt my throat tighten, but I breathed slowly and walked toward her. Standing beside her, I spoke softly into the microphone. Life teaches us in different ways. Some lessons come through pain, others through silence. But the most beautiful ones come when people choose to change. Helena took my hand in front of everyone, not for show, for sincerity. After the speeches, the atmosphere shifted into a warm celebration. Laughter filled the room, and even my mother looked at me with eyes that carried something like admiration. She approached me later and said, quietly, "Luna, I'm glad you didn't give up on us." I didn't answer with bitterness. I simply smiled. The night ended peacefully. As I stepped outside into the gentle breeze, I felt something settle in my heart. Not revenge, not triumph, but peace. A quiet, powerful peace. I had walked away with my head held high, and life had walked right beside me, guiding me to a happier ending than I ever imagined.